ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनि इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Just give me 1 second. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sorry. So let me share my screen again. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, bro.
Okay. So we'll continue from text 56 onwards, where so let's quick recap what happened as of now. Puranjana, he died thinking of his wife, and the next life he become Vaidarvi, who got married to a king called Malyadhwaja, and Malyadhwaja retired to go to forest as Vanaprastha, and Vaidarvi also followed him. And Malyadhwaja, he was completely fixed in his mind, he controlled his senses, he was completely absorbed in Vasudeva, and then he gave up his life, his body, though he also instructed to Vaidarvi. And then Vaidarvi was lamenting for his husband. At that time, there is one, a Vigyata or a Brahmana came there, and we understood that this Brahmana is none other than the super soul of the Lord, which is always our well-wisher and Agyata friend. Now, generally, people that do not know that Lord is within us, they are unaware about the Lord. So that Agyata friend comes here and he instructs to Vedarvi, and he says, what are you lamenting for? And don't you recall that you left me? I'm your intimate friend as well. And also he says that we both are like two swans living together in a in a lake. It's like also we see from Puranas that in a branch of a tree, the two birds are sitting. One is the soul and the other is super soul. The soul is engaged in eating the fruits of the tree, while the super soul, the other bird, is just watching the soul. Yeah, he's not interrupting at all. And then at the last verse, we discussed that. Let's read it. Here it says, "My dear friend, you are now my very same friend. Since you left me, you have become more and more materialistic and not seeing me. You have been traveling in different forms throughout this material world, which was created by some woman." Yeah. So he's saying that the woman is basically the Maya, or so this friend or super soul is saying to the to Vedarvi that you forgot me, and because of that, you have been going through this life cycle of birth and death again and again, and because you forgot me, you become more and more materialistic. Right? We have to be servant of two things, either Krishna or Maya. There is no other way. We can't remain being unservant. We have to be servant of someone. Yeah. So let us continue from here. What he says. पञ्चारामानवद्वारम् एकपालं त्रिकोष्ठकम् षड्कुलं पञ्चविपणम् पञ्चप्रकृतिस्त्रिधनधवम्. Yeah. Tamil Sivali Mataji?
Yes, in that city, that's the material body, there are 5 gardens, 9 gates, 1 protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stores, 5 material elements, and 1 woman who is lord of the house. Thank you.
Okay. Interesting, there is no purport. I think Prabhupada is going to explain in this 58th purport. Let us see by that. So what he's saying as of now is, that city, or which is the material body, which we discussed a long time, and many times during this episode of Puranjan and Puranjani, have 5 gardens, 9 gates, 1 protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stores, 5 material element, and 1 woman who is the lord of the house. Okay. So let us see. I will come back again. It is पांचेन्द्रियार्थ आराम द्वार प्राणानव प्रभो तेजोभि अन्नानि कोष्ठानि कूलम इंद्रिय संग्रह. Yes, Tell Mataji.
Hare Krishna. My dear friend, the 5 gardens are the 5 objects of sense enjoyment, and the protector is the life air, which passes through the 9 gates. The 3 apartments are the chief ingredients fire, water, and earth. The 6 families are the aggregate total of the mind and 5 senses. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So it's explained here what those are talking about. So the 5 senses that acquire knowledge are the sight, taste, smell, touch, sound. And these act through the 9 gates: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 nostrils, the genitals, and 1 rectum. These holes are compared to the gates in the walls of the city. The principal ingredients are earth, water, and fire. And the principal actor is the mind, which is controlled by the intelligence, buddhi. Yeah. Okay. Let us see more. Text 58. Vipanastu kriyasaktir bhuta prakritir avyaya Satya adivishas pumanstvartra pravisto nava buddhyate. Kishori Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The 5 stores are the 5 working sensory organs. They transact their business through the combined forces of the 5 elements, which are eternal. Behind all this activity is the soul. The soul is a person and an employer in reality. However, because he is now hidden within the city of the body, he is devoid of knowledge.
Very interesting point, isn't it? Because the soul is now hidden within the city of the body. Because we recognize ourselves as the body, we don't know ourselves much as the soul. That's why he's devoid of knowledge. And if you recall our, nectar devotion, the root cause is the avidya. The root cause is the ignorance of our identity. That's why we are going through the cycle of birth and death. Yeah. Prabhupada writes, the living entity enters the material creation with the aid of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And thus his body is formed. Although the living entity is walking from within, he is nonetheless unknown. The living entity enters the material creation, but because he is bewildered by the material energy, he appears to be hidden. The bodily conception of life is prominent because of ignorance. Buddhyate. Nava buddhyate. Intelligence is described in the feminine gender, but owing to her prominence in all activities, she is described in this verse as Adhisha, the controller. We know that Ekera Ishwara Krishna Arasava Bhritya. There is only one, master is Krishna, and rest everyone is the servant. So in that way also, we all are actually Prakriti. There is only one male, which is Krishna. The rest all is Prakriti, the feminine gender. The living entity lives by means of fire, water, and food grains. It is through the combination of these three that the body is maintained. Consequently, the body is called Prakriti or material creation. All the elements gradually combine to form flesh, bone, blood, and so on. All these appear as various apartments. It is said in the Vedas that the digested foods are ultimately divided into 3. The solid portion becomes stool, the semi-liquid portion turns into flesh, and the liquid portion turns yellow and is again divided into 3. One of these liquid portions is called urine. Similarly, the fiery portion is divided into 3, and one is called the bone. Out of the 5 elements, fire, water, and food grains are very important. These 3 are mentioned in the previous verse, whereas sky and air are not mentioned. This is all explained in the Bhagavad Gita 13.20. Prakritim purusam chaiva vidye anadi ubhavas api vikaramascha gunanschaiva vidhi prakritim sambhavam. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be the beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Prakriti, of material nature, and Purusa, the living entity, are eternal. When they both come in contact, there are different reactions and manifestations. All of them should be considered the result of the interactions of the 3 modes of material nature. Yeah. So basically, the 9 gardens are called as 5 sense objects. 5 gardens are 5 sense objects. 9 gates are 9 gates of the body. The guard is the life air, which again we discussed earlier, the 5 kinds of life air or air in the body. Then 3 apartment, acid, water, earth, and fire. 6 families is the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and the mind. 5 stories, 5 action senses, 5 powers of states are 5 gross elements, and 1 mistress, intelligence, and the master is the jiva. Yeah. Tasmin stvam ramaya sprashto ramamano sruto smiti tat sangat idrisham prapto dasham dasham papiyasi prabhu. Advaita Krishna Prabhu.
My dear friend, when you enter such a body along with a woman of material desires, you become overly absorbed in sense enjoyment. Because of this, you have forgotten your spiritual life. Due to your material conceptions, you are placed in various miserable conditions.
So basically, Narad Muni is bringing back this point. Just remember, right? This whole narration is actually being narrated to Prachin Bharisat by Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is actually this last chapter in one sense of closing the episode of Puranjana. So just few more verses left. So Narada Muni now bringing back the point through this instruction to Vaidharvi. He's saying that you have forgotten your spiritual life, and due to material conception, you are placed in various miserable conditions. So when a person becomes materially engrossed, he has no capacity to hear about spiritual existence. Forgetfulness of spiritual existence entangles a man more and more in material existence. Such is the result of sinful life. Various bodies are developed with the material ingredients because of the different types of sinful activities. King Puranjana assumed the body of a woman, Vaidharvi, as a result of his sinful activities. And Bhagavad Gita clearly says, Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Shudras, that such a body is low-born. If one takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, he can be elevated to the highest perfection, even though he be low-born. And one acquires low birth when one's spiritual intelligence is reduced. Yeah. Okay. Text 60. न त्वां विदर्भधूहिता नायं वीरस्तुतः तव न पतिस्त्वां पुरञ्जनया रूढो नवमुखे यया. उर्मिला माता जी.
Hare Krishna. Actually, you are not the daughter of Vidharva, nor is this man Malay Dhwaja, your well-wishing husband, nor were you the actual husband of Puranjani. You were simply captivated in this body of 9 gates. Hare
So he's
Krishna.
revealing his Hare Krishna. He's revealing that who are you? You are not the daughter of Vidharva, means you are not Vidharvi. You are not Malyadhwaja, who is your well-wishing husband. And he's going to the previous life that nor you were the actual husband of Puranjini. You are simply captivated in this body of 9 gates. Yeah. In the material world, many living entities come into contact with one another and increasing their attachment to a particular type of body, become related as father, husband, mother, wife, etc. Actually, every living entity is a separate individual being, and it is because of his contact with matter that he comes together with other bodies and becomes falsely related. False bodies create various associations in the name of family, community, society, and nationality. Actually, every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the living entities are overly engrossed in the material body. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears and gives instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita and Vedic literatures. The Supreme Lord gives these instructions because He is the eternal friend of the living entities. His instructions are important because by them the living entity can obtain liberation from bodily engagement. As water passes down a river, many straws and grasses are carried from the source. These straws and grasses come together in the river's current, but when the waves toss this way and that, they are separated and carried somewhere else. Similarly, the innumerable living entities within this material world are being carried by the waves of material nature. Sometimes the waves bring them together and they form friendship and relate to one another on a bodily basis of family, community, or nationality. Eventually, they are thrown out of association by the waves of material nature. This process has been going on since the creation of material nature. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, মিছি মায়ার বসে আছে বেশে কচ্ছা বহু বুঢ় ভাই জীব কৃষ্ণ দাস এই বিশ্বাস করলে তার দুঃখ নাই. My dear living entities, you are being carried away by the waves of material nature. Sometimes you are on the surface, sometimes you are being drawn. In this way, your eternal life is being spoiled. If you simply catch hold of Krishna and take shelter of his lotus feet, you will once again get free from all miserable material conditions. In this verse, the words Suhrit or well-wisher and Tava you are very significant. I think it comes in Bhagavad Gita as well. Suhrit Sarvadahinam. So Krishna is the well-wisher of everyone. Chapter 5, One so-called husband, relative, son, father, or whatever cannot actually be a well-wisher. The only actual well-wisher is Krishna. As Krishna comes up, it confirms in Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Yeah, Prabhupada's quoting this book here itself. Suhridam Sarvat Bhutanam. Society, friendship, love, and well-wishers are all simply results of being packed in different bodies. One should know this well and try to get out of this material engagement into which one is thrown birth after birth. One should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and return home back to Godhead. Beautiful purport actually. There are similar examples are given in Canto 11 as well, where Prabhupada writes that, explains more, stating that like in a if you are going on a motorway, right, we might take a break, service break, where we can go to the service station. We might grab a cup of coffee, tea, or whatever someone likes to. So there are, like if you take example of India, like dhaba, we get there, we get some food, eat something. So in a similar way, you might see so many people around you, and you might know them, or you might not know them as well. And while eating on nearby tables, you might greet someone, maybe say hi, hello, or might have a few interaction for some time. You may interact with the waiter and then others. You might think, okay, you may exchange some more details with that. But what, as soon as we finish our eating our thing, then we pay and then we move ahead. So the connection between those person are just temporary for a few minutes, or maybe at max some hours, not more than that. We separate right away. In the similar way, this is also stated in the same way. The family life, we come together, we stayed for some 70-80 years together, and then we separate, right? There are few more examples also given in Bhagavatam 11th canto, more explaining how this family life happens. But the real well-wisher of everyone is Krishna himself. And if we can be well-wisher of our own family members when we try to bring them to Krishna consciousness. Text 61. Maya hyesha maya sishta yat pumam samstriyam satim manayashe no bhayam yadvai hanso pashyavayo gartitam yogarti gatim. Rupesh Prabhu.
Sometimes you think yourself a man, sometimes a chaste woman, and sometimes a neutral eunuch. This is all because of the body, which is created by the illusory energy. The illusory energy is my potency, and actually both of us, you and I, are pure spiritual identities. Now just try to understand this. I am trying to explain our actual position.
So here it is. So the factual position of both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity is qualitatively one. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Spirit, the Super Soul, and the living entity is the individual spiritual soul. Even though both of them are original spiritual identities, the living entity forgets his identity when he comes in contact with material nature and becomes conditioned. At such a time, he identifies himself as a product of the material nature. Because of the material body, he forgets that he is the eternal or Sanatana, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in this way. Mamaivanso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. The word Sanatana is found in several places in Bhagavad Gita. But the Lord and the living entity are Sanatana. Both the Lord and the living entity are Sanatana, eternal. And there is also a place known as Sanatana beyond this material nature. The real residence of both the living entity and God is the domain of Sanatana, not this material world. This material world is temporary, external energy of the Lord, and the living entity is placed in this material world because he wanted to imitate the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, he tries to enjoy his senses to his best capacity. All the activities of the conditioned soul within this material world are perpetually taking place in different types of bodies. But when the living entity acquires developed consciousness, he should try to rectify his situation and again become a member of the spiritual world. The process by which one can return home back to Godhead is Bhakti Yoga, sometimes called as Sanatana Dharma. Instead of accepting a temporary occupational duty based on the material body, one should take to the process of Sanatana Dharma or Bhakti Yoga so that he can put an end to his perpetual bondage in material bodies and return home back to Godhead. As long as human society works on the basis of false material identification, all the so-called advancement of science and philosophy are simply useless. They only serve to mislead human society. Andha yathandhare upaniyat mana. In the material world, the blind simply lead the blind. What a profound purpose, yeah? That what the how and why someone should take the path of Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. That's the beauty of Prabhupada actually. Prabhupada's purport, almost all the purports drag us, whatsoever the context is, it drags us towards performing Bhakti Yoga, take us back to the path of Bhakti Yoga, which is the ultimate goal of life. Yeah. Okay, text 62. Aham bhavan chanyastvam tvam evaham vikasho bhuva nanau pashyanti kavayas chidram jatu managapi. Yes, Tamil Shalia Mataji.
Yes. My dear friend, I, the super soul, and you, the individual soul, are not different in quality, for we are both spiritual. In fact, my dear friend, you are qualitatively not different from me in your constitutional position. Just try to consider this subject. Those who are actually advanced scholars, who are in knowledge, do not find any qualitative difference between you and me. Thank you.
Okay, let us see. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are qualitatively one. There is no factual difference between the two. The Mayavadi philosophers are again and again defeated by the illusory energy because they think that there is no separation between the super soul and the individual soul, or that there is no super soul. They are also misled in thinking that everything is the super soul. However, those who are Kavaya, or learned scholars actually know the facts. They do not commit such mistakes. They know that God and the individual soul are one in quality, but that the individual soul falls under the clutches of Maya, whereas the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is a controller of Maya. Yeah, see the difference. So quality wise we are same. Let's read it out. Maya is the creation of Supreme Lord, Maya Srishta. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the controller of Maya. Although one in quality with the Supreme Lord, the individual soul is under the control of Maya, and Mayavadi philosophers cannot distinguish between the controller and the controlled. Yeah. So the understanding is that we are same. The soul and the super soul are one in one sense. What a sense? Sense is that qualitatively one. One is not that mixing one. One is not that we merge with each other. Not that one. One means qualitatively. Qualitatively means the quality is the same. Even if you go more detailed, even the qualities what Krishna has, is super excellence than us. So just a bare understanding the quality is same means if you go to a ocean and take out one jug or 1 liter of water just for experiment, you can understand that by doing some chemical experiments you can find out the quality of the water. Sometimes we see the quality index of air and water. So also we can find out the different chemicals or elements present in the water, which we brought from the ocean in a 1 liter jug. So from that experiment, we can calculate, okay, this water got calcium, this much percentage, potassium, this and that, all those things. We can take it out by experiment. And we can conclude that this oceanic water has these things in proportion. This much proportions are there in the water. That we can conclude that's basically called as qualitatively one. But there is a huge difference between the 1 liter of water which we brought and the whole ocean. So qualitatively one, but quantitatively we are not one. A person can be drowned in the ocean and die, but a person cannot die in 1 liter of water, though water are of both same quality. So that the real understanding that the Supreme Lord and the living entity are qualitatively one in this sense that we are eternal and Lord is eternal. We belong to spiritual world, Lord belong to spiritual world. That's it. Apart from that, Krishna is qualitatively one, but quantitatively his is use. He never comes under the spell of Maya, and living entity always are under the spell of Maya. Here Krishna says, Maya Dakshina Prakriti. This whole Prakriti is being controlled by Krishna. But we living entity cannot control Maya. We cannot control our situation even. What to speak of controlling anything else. Krishna controls whole of the universe. We even cannot control our own senses properly. So these are the differences with the living entity and the Supreme Lord. So that needs to be understood very, very importantly. That's why Prabhupada is quoting that Mayavad philosopher, they cannot distinguish between the who is controller and who is controlled. Sometimes the living entity is called as Ishvara, but Krishna is Parama Ishvara, right? Brahma Samhita says Ishvara Parama Krishna. So Param Ishvara is Krishna, and we all are Ishvara. Ishvara, the literal meaning of Ishvara is controller. We do have some control, but we are not full controller. In fact, we are controlled in every aspect. Though we think ourselves as controller, but we are being controlled in every aspect. But Krishna is never controlled. He can say that I am the controller because no one can control him. Yeah. So that the understanding between how living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are qualitatively one, at the same time quantitatively different. Soul can never ever become super soul. Yeah. Okay, that couple of more verses. Let us see the chapter. Text 63. यथा पुरुष आत्मानम् एकम् आदर्श चक्षुषो द्विधा भूतानम् अवेक्षेत तथैवान्तरम् अव्ययो. Is Thayal Mataji?
As a person sees the reflection of his body in a mirror to be one with himself and not different, whereas others actually see two bodies. So, in our material condition, in which the living being is affected and yet not affected, there is a difference between God and the living entity. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So we discussed about in this verse about how we are one, and this verse talks about the differences. Being affected by the conditioning of matter, Mayavadi philosophers cannot see the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. When the sun is reflected in a pot of water, the sun knows that there is no difference between himself and the reflected sun in the water. Those in ignorance, however, perceive that there are many small suns reflected in each and every pot. As far as the brilliance is concerned, there is brilliance both in the original sun and in the reflection, but the reflections are small, whereas the original sun is very large. Vaishnava philosophers conclude that the living entity is simply a small sample of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Qualitatively, God and the living entities are one, but quantitatively the living entities are small fragmental or fragments of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is full, powerful, and opulent. In the previous verse, the Lord says, "My dear friend, you and I are non-different." This non-difference refers to qualitative oneness, for it was not necessary for the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to remind the conditioned soul that he is not one in quality. The self-realized soul never thinks that he and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are one in every respect. Although he and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are one in quality, the living entity is prone to forget his spiritual identity, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead never forgets. This is the difference between Lipta and Alipta. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally alipta, uncontaminated by the external energy. The conditioned soul, however, being in contact with the material nature, forgets his real identity. Therefore, when he sees himself in the conditioned state, he identifies himself with the body. Yeah. So this is what we discussed now, the differences between the Supreme Lord and the Lord. Even Prabhupada is quoting from third canto, explaining the point, saying that the fire has different features. There is a flame, the spark, and the smoke. Although these are one in quality, there is still a difference between the fire, the flame, and the spark and the smoke. The living entity becomes conditioned, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is different because he does not become conditioned at any point of time. Yeah. In the Vedas it is said, Atma tatha prathak drashta bhagavan brahma sanjita. Atma is the individual soul as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a seer of everything. Although both are spirit, there is always a difference. Yeah. Okay. And okay, let us see the last verse of this chapter. Oh, there are two more actually. I think I'll take some more couple of minutes to wrap up this chapter today, so that next or tomorrow we can continue from new chapter. Evam sa manaso hamso hamsena pratibodhita swastho tad vicharena nastam apapuna smritim. Kushali Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In this way, both swans live together in the heart. When the one swan is instructed by the other, he is situated in his constitutional position. This means he regains his original Krishna consciousness, which was lost because of his material attraction. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So basically, the previous 3-4 verses we discussed to clarify this point of two swans sitting each other. Yeah. Okay, let's see the last verse 65. Varishman etad adhyatmam parokshena pradarshitam yat paroksha priyo devo bhagavan vishwabhavana. My dear King Prachin Barhi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is celebrated to be known indirectly. Thus I have described the story of Puranjana to you. Actually, it is an instruction for self-realization. So Narad Muni concludes the whole pastimes of Puranjana, and he instructs to Prachinabhari that this is an instructions for you. I have described this story only for you. Yeah. So okay, it's a long purport. I think I would like to read the purport, the last purport. Is it okay if we can continue for 5 more minutes today? Else we can start from this purport tomorrow. I think okay, let's start this purport tomorrow with the same purport so that we can connect back again to new chapter. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Any quick questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes it was, but it's a bit of a technical question you might want to answer later, but can I leave you with the question?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
It's a bit technical, so not, based on what you said, and I'm trying to word it. This whole thing about what you described is very interesting. We are spirit souls, and we are qualitatively same as Krishna. We are fragments, and God is just bigger in quantity. Okay, if we are same in quality, right, the knowledge, the memory requires mind and senses. Now, in the beginning, we didn't have mind, senses. We were pure souls, right? But the soul quality, if same as God, then how we are touched or influenced by material energy, illusory energy in the very beginning of the spirituality of time. I mean, we would have had to have had a mind and an ego to get influence. But before that, how we are allowed to be touched? What is that influence? Shouldn't we be immune to that energy? How as soul can we possibly have been controlled by that energy from the beginning, if that makes sense, if we were with Krishna?
Yeah, so it's a bit detailed answer that we can discuss for another day for sure. The thing is that even though the reality, I'll tell the reality is that even though we are qualitatively one with the Lord, but still it's described in Shastra as well that even the quality, we are not same as quality as Krishna. It is like, just for example, Krishna's quality, one quality, let's say, is strength. Yeah, we have strength as well. So that's how quality becomes same. Krishna has strength, I have strength. Krishna is eternal, I am eternal. But the strength of what Krishna has and the strength what a jiva or a soul or a living entity has is incomparable again. Right. So
Yeah.
does it make sense? Because the quality, though it says both are the same qualities, but even in that quality, if we try to understand the intensity of the quality, we are way low than that. And we are not Krishna, we are not God, we are eternal. And but also how we are connected with Krishna is that we are the part and partial of Lord. Krishna says, Mame Vansa Jiva Loke. We are actually Krishna's part and partial. So they are Vishnu Tattvas who are expansion of the Lord, but we are fragmented expansion of the Lord. We are now not connected directly with the Lord. That's why there is a difference between soul and the super soul. Yeah, and because at the very first time when we came in contact with material modes of nature, that's how Jaiva Dharma explains a lot actually. We can discuss this point one day elaborately on topic, discussing on the same point sometime. So, just to brief your question to answer that, yeah, it seems like we are qualitatively one with the Lord, but still there's a lot we can't even compare with that.
Yes.
Still,
Yes.
we are lacking so far with that. I just give example of one strength, right? In that way.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Even though the material energy itself, how as a soul we are not immune to it, not in terms of comparing with Krishna, of course, but as souls, we're spirit souls. How does the material energy, how can it even envelope? And that means we are like mirrors, that can, or like a drop in the ocean, it can be contaminated, it can be
Yeah,
added to, but.
the reason, the ignorance, yeah, that we read in this Ponopada purport, and also we discussed that part in the Nectar devotion, the
Okay.
ignorance of our identity. Because as soon as we become in contact with the metal modes of nature, our real identity is being covered by Maya. That's the duty of Maya. She is performing her duty. Bhagavatam explains in the previous chapter, Kunti Maharani prayers, even Canto 1, it says, Maya Javanika Chanam. So Kunti Maharani says that this Maya, see, the Maya becomes the curtain. So when curtain is there, we can't see through, right? And that Maya is a curtain which is unknown curtain. We can't see. It's transparent curtain, but still we can't see through it. So it means what? Maya stops us to understand that what is our real identity, and that's the ignorance. So once we understand our identity through the association of sadhus, through the association of scriptures, then the curtain of Maya is uncovered. And then we can see that, oh, I'm actually a spiritual spark, not this body. And before that, I am being treating myself as the body, and I'm interacting with the modes. But now I understood that I'm not this body, I'm a spiritual spark. And my real identity is to be aloof of this. And Krishna says that, isn't it? Krishna says that to cross this material ocean is quite difficult. But as soon as we take shelter of Krishna, it becomes easy, because this whole material nature is being controlled by Krishna. And when Maya sees that we are now inclined towards serving the Lord, she actually takes step back. Not everyone can serve Lord. So Maya gives us here and there kicks and starts giving us a hard time to make us realize that you are the servant of the Lord. And as when we understand that we are the servant of Lord, then Maya says, okay, go on now, cross through easily. Yeah.
Yeah, that would require consciousness and senses. But in our latent state, I'm thinking in the pure original soul state, we wouldn't have the faculty to be illusory. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah,
Before
yeah.
the elements, before the 24 Tanmatras, before all of that. I mean,
Yeah,
in that pure state.
yeah. So because what happened was when the living entity, actually living entity not created, we are already created at the first place. It's not being created again by Lord. So the very first place, now Java Dharma explained that the very first place the Jiva has given, like example, let's say the Jiva has given two options, left side or right side, and by whatever that time it would be, the Jiva thought to take the right side and come in the middle world, and the one who took the left side, they go to spiritual world. And then after that we have been going through this tossing of birth and life cycle. The Prabhupada says, we have been doing through this innumerable life cycles or life cycles going on through.
Right. So we had a choice and
We
we
had a
took
choice
a
at the very
choice.
beginning
Mm.
and we missed that choice. That's why we are here.
Right.
Yes, Urla Mataji.
Thank you.
Yeah, Prabhuji, we can add, I don't know it's correct or not, because soul travels from one body to another body. So the false ego and man, buddhi, ahankar, it travels with the soul from one body to another body. So that could be the reason of like from the beginning, we get stuck in Maya.
Yes, but
Yeah,
Mataji, for us to have that,
yeah,
before Maya, Maya is the one that gives us the 24 Tanmatras, which is what you're saying, the ego, the intellect, that came later.
Yeah.
You see? And that's why we're influenced later. But before that, we were pure souls. So how could the material energy affect us for other three gunas to affect us? And then for us to get intellect, then for us to get ego, then for the three doshas to affect us. And then afterwards, yes, we are caught in a loop. But before that,
yeah. That's the first. That's I
yeah.
say. The first time is that we had a choice, and we tend to choose the middle world. And as soon as we are in the middle world, we are trapped by the three modes. We cannot bypass it. We have to go through that. But once we understand the fact that, or the ignorance of our identity, or sometimes we say identity crisis, that's being cleared by Shastra, then there is no more suffering actually. Yeah.
A part of me thinks that the whole plan Krishna made was so that this happens, maybe
Yeah,
for his divine reasons. Yeah.
yeah. The divine
Why
reason
let
is,
us? Yeah.
yeah. The divine reason is that the very first choice we made. So we wanted to enjoy without Krishna, and Krishna says, "Okay, I have something else for you. You can go there." And that's why he threw us in the jail or middle world.
Mm.
That's a good point. Maybe some of the day we can just discuss about this point. But anyway,
Thank
even
you. Thank you.
Prabhupada answering this question, sometime he says, actually, there is one beautiful book that's called as Suddha Bhakti Chintamani. Maybe we'll try to read sometimes. Ati Krishna Prabhu is reading it on Tuesdays. There, Sivram Maharaj explains about one point I'm just talking about. He says about doubts. So he says that if we have some kinds of doubts, spiritual doubts, there are 3 or 4 stages to be considered about it. First of all, we need to think that is the doubt which I have right now, if the doubt is not being answered or not being cleared, is it going to impact my spiritual journey? If it is that severe doubt, then we must approach to our senior and get the doubt cleared. And if we think that no, this doubt is just to know more about it, it's not impacting my spiritual life, I can still continue my spiritual life well without any problem, then we should try to park the doubt a bit. And gradually, when we go more deeper, that doubt will be cleared by Krishna. Right. So we should be very much cautious about our doubts. Is the doubt impacting our spiritual life? If it's not bothering, let's not go more deeper and create more doubts, kind of things, he says. Yeah. And but all the doubts are being cleared as we progress through our spiritual life. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for extended time today. Certainly, these are very good questions. We can discuss it more whenever time permits. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. We'll continue tomorrow with a new chapter, and maybe three more chapters, 29, 30, and 31 more, 3 more chapters for Canto 4. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.